Well, hello there. I'm Meg Glasgow, industry educator, proud wizard owner, and also owner of Finer Frames in Eagle, Idaho. And I am here today to share with you some creative design ideas to win raving fans. One thing I am passionate about in this industry is finding new ways to compete in an online world, and with competition being what it is, you just don't have, there's just not room to make mistakes in this economy that we find ourselves in. And what I have found success in my shop in Eagle, Idaho, is creating great buzz and word of mouth for what I do by offering my customers creative design ideas that they couldn't get anywhere else. And so that's what I'm going to share here with you in the next 20 minutes or so. So I taught this class along with many others at the recent West Coast Art and Frame Expo in Las Vegas. So this is a shot of me in the new Wizard booth. So this is one of the classes that I taught there, and I think it's so great for those that could attend, but also what about the people that couldn't? So that's where I thought I'd take a few minutes and just sit down and record this so that I could share this with you. So if you didn't get to attend West Coast Art and Frame, and we're sad that you didn't, but you kind of get a little insight into what you might have missed. So let's get started. So here's a picture of me in my shop, and this is a project that I did recently. I love this project of the eclipse. This is really extraordinary, and I wish you could see it because there's the constellations, the latitude, longitude lines. I did with debossing in the background, and there's a mechanical mechanism in their clockwork that is spinning the sun and moon around there. Pretty cool. So, but enough with that. Here's a little overview of what we're going to cover today. Using your wizard to cut layered mats, using the cut art templates. We're going to talk about multiple opening mats in new kind of innovative ways. Using the letter mat feature and debossing, which I love. And the pen tool. Oh my God, the reason I bought my 9000, I wanted the pen tool so bad. And so I've got some ideas of how we're using it in our shop. So I hope it kind of inspires you of projects that you can do in your shop as well. The vinyl cutting tool. And then finally, ta-da, PATHTRACE. All right, so let's get going. So this first project is one that I just love. It's subtle, it's interesting, it's fun, it's whimsical, all of that. So if you follow me online, and I hope you do, I share a lot of fun of design ideas and stuff that I do in my projects in the shop. So, okay, so this is a project, Jack Be Nimble. The piece is called by Kelly Baudry. So I was really captivated by the dog's eyes. I really loved that kind of hypnotic pattern there. So that's what was the catalyst for wanting to do circle designs in the mat. But here's the deal. I wanted it subtle, right? I don't want to draw a lot of attention away from the art. So I want you to kind of recognize this because it's kind of a little insight into my style, my design style. I tend to use only 2 or 3 colors, one being a neutral, right? So I have the brown frame, and I have repeated the little brown fabric liner inside there, the neutral mat, but just a pop of orange to complement the orange in the background. But here's how I did this project. So first of all, we cut circles out of just a cotton rag mat. Plain circles, solid circles, and then rings. So the rings, here's how you do that. So you design it as a double mat, but I only cut I only want that middle piece, that fallout of that under secondary math is exposed. So I cut it, I design it as like a 3/8 inch exposure, do regular bevel and then reverse bevel on the top mat so that when a machine cuts that, so it's designed as this double mat, I only cut it as a single. And then with the reverse bevel, it comes out perfect. So I have the correct bevel on each direction. So I glued those all onto the bottom mat, covered it with fabric, and then I carefully took the bone and really worked that to get it really, really tight in the groove so it looked really tight and precise and really, really clean. So I've used this fabric mat covering technique a lot of times. We do it with squares, different designs and whatnot. So think about it. It's just a way you could do this with just the template mat designs of cool corners and curves and all that kind of stuff. So just a kind of little upscale, kind of fun way to change your standard fabric wrap mats. So here's one impressive project by my friend Christian. This is so great, right? It's just simple cut art that are already in the templates that are already in the design software. But look what he's done. I love this curve that goes over the top of the USNA class of 2015. You know, that's so much more interesting than just a square cut. And look how it complements that rope shape that's in the frame. I just think it's perfect. And those little gold mats are already in the templates again, but it's just something out of the ordinary. And I think it's beautifully executed and elegant, and I just love it. Christian does a great job. So here's another one that I did too. Okay, so I love this project. And so I hope you think about this in terms of how to decorate that solid background you've got in these shadow box with tons of that negative space. So here's my approach. So I love tone on tone design with interesting textures. So I took my wizard and I cut a bunch of little 1.5 inch squares out of my wizard, reverse bevel, because I don't like the bevel showing. So I cut it out of the gray suede, glued each tile onto the gray suede or the gray flat mat backing, right? So that grid pattern added order and symmetry to the whole project. And then I used fishing line, I think, to sew the bats down. And also that a mat board tile, that multiple opening panel in the center there also covered up, of course, the mounting methods that I used. So, but it was a great way to do that, to highlight those 3 photographs. And I just loved the repetition and the shape that it did. But here's what I wanted to point out to you. So I tucked that 3-card strip that ran the full length of the frame. I tucked that in between the side walls of the frame. Can you see that in there? So I cut a little 1-inch strip of the gray that sat down below, dropped in the 3 cards, the baseball cards, and then guess what I used? You see that little black line in there? Can you guess what that is? That's a spacer. It's just a 1-inch black spacer that I cut and trimmed to butt up against that. So to the eye, it looks really tight and neat, but also as a design element, that little black line kind of adds a layer of interest inside all that side of the picture frame. So I thought it was a great solution. So I hope you do too. I think that was a really interesting, great little project. So debossing. I told you I love the debossing tool. This is kind of a different twist on a little coin project that we did. So these coins are sink mounted into the mat. But what I did is I copied the coin, scanned it, and entered it into PATHTRACE so I could draw those radius lines that came out from the coin. Because what I wanted to do was emphasize, you can't see it in the photo, but I wanted to really emphasize the inscription that was on that side of the coin. And I think the lines that take your eye directly to that coin with the words on it, I thought it was really effective and I thought it was really great. So I love debossing. It's subtle, it's elegant, and there's so many possibilities that you can do with that. It's just great. Here's another debossing project. I love using the debossing tool to put names, dates, all those kind of details into the frame design. Now this is on a wedding project, a wedding shadow box. So I debossed the date of their wedding into the mat. You can't see it in that photograph. I'm sorry, you can't see it, but so that's debossed in there under the picture of the bride and groom. And then also on this project, just as a side note, so those flowers are her bouquet that's been deconstructed. So I took her bouquet apart, carefully glued each little flower in because I wanted symmetry and balance on each one. But I thought it was a nice way to do and save the flowers to get kind of a cool design in there. And then because there's so many flowers down below, that as time goes on, and anybody that's worked with silk flowers or dried flowers before knows that they continue to kind of shed and whatnot. But the way this is done, anything that falls is going to be hidden in there. So it's a great little project. And I love the debossing. It's so subtle, and I wish you could see it better in that photo, but it looks really great. So people ask me often about V-Groove. Can V-Groove do corners? Well, take a look at this project. Of course, the V-Groove can do corners. This is a project that I did for these are actually my kids. My son Scott got married a couple years ago. And so this is a project we did. It was an outdoor wedding. It was beautiful. And we wanted to keep with the outdoor woodsy theme, but keep it modern at the same time. And I love how this came out. So we used a faux bois design, right? That wood grain design done all in PATHTRACE. And then we cut a V-Groove out of it. So let me tell you, cutting this on the machine, I had to be like a ninja to stay right along that blade and pull out all those pieces that was discarded. So it took a lot of stop and starting and changing blades and whatnot. But the result is a beautiful project at the end. I just think it's elegant and interesting, and I just think it's really fun. So if you're not quite that ambitious, here's what you can do. So these leaf designs are already in your templates. It's already ready to go. So I just enlarged them, copied and paste. So I had 3, and then I mirrored the center one to give a little contrast to the shape. But look what it does. That free flowing design keeps your eye moving throughout the shadow box. And I just think it's great. It's a beautiful design element, complements the M you see in their wedding invitations. It's subtle, interesting, elegant, and so easy for you to do. There's no excuse. I know you guys can do this. So the pen tool, I mentioned before that the reason I bought my 9000 is because I wanted this tricky tool. And this was a great project I wanted to bring to your attention. This was a memorial that we did of a grandfather that passed, and each kid got the frame and the coin, the dollar coin and whatnot that was sunk mount in there. But regarding the pen tool, so we took the words that all the kids said about traits of grandpa and all of that. And I think it's so sweet. So we did all those in multiple different fonts with a pen tool in the design. But I want to point out, do you see that I repeated the same pattern several times, same font several times? I think that's really important because you need harmony in the design. You need repetition to keep it from being too cluttered and busy. And so just consider that, when you're designing these kind of projects on your own, you want that kind of repetition for continuity throughout the piece. Beautiful project. So here's a great idea, and I hope you rip this off because I did. I found this idea on Pinterest, and I just loved it. Okay, so here's a great wedding gift idea. We have this made up, kind of a dummy display in the shop that we have 99 bucks on it. It's a little 12 by 12 little project, and it gives people great ideas on wedding gifts because everybody needs a great wedding gift. Well, I guarantee the bride and groom are not going to get anything like this. So here's the deal. Just 3 simple triangles we merged together, and then we dropped in maps of where she's from, he's from, and where they got married. Isn't that sweet? Super simple. And then we added their names of the bride and groom, adventuring together, and then the date of the wedding. That's just so precious. And folks, once you get this in your machine, it doesn't take you but a couple minutes to cut the whole thing and be done with it. It's just it's a great little way to personalize your projects for your customers and make your shop look different than the competition. So I hope you get this idea up on your show wall, and I'd love to see it. So send me a picture of it. Hashtag me when you post it. I'd love to see what you guys come up with. Okay, the vinyl cutting tool. Here's another good feature too. So we're using the vinyl cutting tool to cut vinyl. Duh, right? We're using it as vinyl letters for art shows and different things up on the show wall. But I wanted to show you a different idea. So we're using the vinyl cutting tool as a template for etched glass, for chemical etched glass. So you see it there on the right. In the picture on the left, it's hard, you can't hardly see it the way it's shot like that. But that Alicia, the name of that super gymnast, future Olympic hopeful. So keep your eye out for Alicia. Did it. So I used the vinyl cutting tool to cut a stencil. So I used the vinyl. I cut out her, pulled out the letters because I didn't need that anymore. And then I applied a chemical etching cream that I got at a hobby store. And this was actually on Optia Museum acrylic. I've had success with etching cream working on all kinds of coated glass, even acrylic and whatnot, but it is kind of a little mottled looking. It's not as precise as if you were to use a tool or whatnot. So you just need to understand that that's part of the design. But it's a great, interesting new way to use your vinyl cutting tool. You can use letters, you can do shapes, you can do lines, all those kind of different things. Here's another vinyl cutting tool idea. This was a project for a proposal. These are my kids again, Scott and Megan. You probably recognize them now. I've used this project a lot. Okay, but here's what I did. So the crisscross, the arrows, I grabbed that off of Google Images. It's a vector file of the crossed arrows. Uploaded that into my PATHTRACE design. And cut this out of vinyl. But here is the trick. That vinyl is actually cheap contact paper that I bought at Walmart. Contact paper is fantastic. It's cheap. There's a million different colors to choose from, and really, really affordable and easy. So all I did with the contact paper is just use a little glue stick back behind it, stick it down to a cut sheet so the machine could cut it precisely, peel it off, stick it on the mat, and it's just super, super simple. So I hope you have the courage to try this because it is not complicated, and I hope this is a good idea to get you inspired. All right, here's another idea worth stealing. So we use the letter mat to cut out the home. I used maps, atlas maps, again, that I think I got this atlas for $7 at Walmart, but it has all the states, and the atlas is kind of nice. It was really nice actually because the size is appropriate for this kind of project. Believe me, I've exhausted my welcome at AAA to get my free maps, and I ordered maps off of Amazon too, but that was getting expensive, so the atlas is really the way to go. So free tip there. Okay, so and then I did just the pen tool, personalized it with what the bride and groom wants. But I hope you do these project ideas for yourself, your family. Take good photos of them, get them online, get them on social media, get them on your website, and get people excited about the possibilities of what you and your wizard can do. All right, so if you weren't at WCAF this year, here is what you missed. This is a picture of me and my daughter Emily, who's in the booth. So these projects we made for Wizard, and they're all in the booth. And so I wish you got a chance to see them up close, particularly that Eric Clapton that's right behind my shoulder. That frame kicks ass. It's beautiful. This is another one that we did with help from Brian Wolf, the genius. He did all the design on that matte art for Seattle. We did another one for Paris that I don't have a photo of, but they were great projects that look so great in the booth. So we're going to dive deep into a few of these that I've got more detailed pictures coming up here. So this project, this sweet little project, I just love this little pet memorial. But here's my approach to this, right? I want to create something interesting, a texture, a background, a pattern that kind of adds a little visual interest to the project. So in this case, we use PATHTRACE to design this modern chevron kind of design. So we cut this all out of a white mat and mounted it on top of a kind of a taupe back behind. But look what you could do. You could take designs like this. You could cut the same design out of 2 different colors, use the fallout for one as an inlay for the other mat. I think you could get some amazing designs and ideas going. And again, you're probably recognizing my style by now. I do like subtle tone on tone, because that keeps all the visual interest, boom, right in on that beautiful photograph. And that's where I want to direct the viewer's eye. That's a tricky thing about using the tools that you can do with these CMCs. I kind of myself, I'm kind of firm believer, just because you can doesn't mean you should. So I'm very deliberate with my selections on my mat cutting designs, the fancy tricky corners and all that stuff. I'm always very mindful that I want to direct the viewer's eye to the focal point, and I want to make sure that if I'm using these interesting cuts and whatnot, that I want to make sure that I'm not distracting from the artwork. So I hope that makes sense. So this is probably my favorite wedding shadow box of all time. I can't tell you how much I love this. It's elegant, it's simple. Just love this. Again, tone on tone. But here's what I want to point out. Okay, so that lattice design I drew with PATHTRACE, cut the lattice out of that cream, put the lattice on top of a textured linen mat board. And here I chose that linen on purpose because it blended so perfectly with the cards, the wedding invitation cards and whatnot. Because here's the thing, folks, I don't want you to see the card. I want you to see the letters, the pattern that they've selected. I wanted the texture of the card to melt into the background. And that puts more emphasis on that beautiful engagement photo of that future bride and groom. Took the photo, trimmed it out with a fillet to give it more importance, floated it. You see that beautiful little elegant shadow back behind there. And placement of the items too, you noticed, are centered in the center of those designs. And that's really deliberate on my part as well. So this design, I think I can get it for you. I think Wizard has it. So if you want to use this in your own project, let me know, message me, and I'll make sure to get you a copy of it. All right, so here's another cool project. This is another one we did with PATHTRACE, but completely different, where that other one was a very structured, very geometric kind of pattern. This is complete opposite. This is the family tree that we did with this tree design. It's very organic in shape. So this again was done with PATHTRACE. So we did this kind of modern twist on this tree, but you notice it is floated above that back mat. That's because shadow was very important to me in this design. I wanted to give that illusion of depth and space in that shadow box. So the trees floated up. We've got the old photos. Now, that is my mom in the lower, that sweet little picture of my mom holding her little bear and her grandmother and then her folks. And it's just a sweet project. But here's the thing. These old photographs, I don't want to look old fashioned in my house. I want them to have a little more of a modern twist. And so this was my solution to that. So we took the photos, did little mini mats around them, V-grooves, I think, and then we tied them, at least we looked like we tied them, to that tree. And I think it was a cute little simple project, but kind of creative at the same time. So we have been using the heck out of our box cutting tool, especially at holiday time. So we cut a ton of these for little Christmas ornaments, hand-blown glass Christmas ornaments that we sold in the shop. So this, believe it or not, is just out of mat board, a scrap mat board. We cut and then we just taped and glued it together, and made a great little 4x4 little box. This other project we cut out of E-flute, and it was much more user-friendly. We've tried foam core, mat board, and E-flute is really the best to use. So E-flute, E refers to the size. Flute is the fact that it's fluted cardboard. You can get this in regular cardboard. You can get it in acid-free. But here's the deal, folks. You can't get it in our industry. At least I don't think so. Let me know if you can. So I order this online in bundles and whatnot. So look at doing that. Also, you can get this in acid free, which would be a great sideline business for you to do art preservation boxes. Might be a great little sideline business. So go check that out. So this has been fun, hasn't it? We've spent a little bit of time together, but here's the deal, folks. I love to share. I want to see what you come up with your creative design ideas and what you're using your wizard for. So please post your great project ideas on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, whatever your favorite is. But please hashtag I love my wizard so I can see what you're up to. Well, thanks, you guys, for spending a little bit of time with me. I loved this. I love sharing great ideas, and I hope you got inspired. You can find me online at Meg Glasgow. I've got a website, megglasgow.com, where I've got a newsletter, and I share great design ideas as well. And you can also follow me on all the popular social media platforms. And I want to thank you for spending time with me today. I hope you got some good ideas, and I look forward to talking with you soon.